You know, why does Ines have such a huge ego? Is it his unit quality? I mean, he's an archer in a GBA game. That's like C tier even if you're the best one in the game. Is it his strategic prowess? The one time he gets in a strategy, he loses and is caught in enemy territory. Like, what does he have going for him? Seto Kaiba is cool. I feel like the noble dickbag with an ego is one of the most played out tropes in fantasy. Even if classism isn't a theme of the work, there's still going to be a dickbag with lots of money and status going around. I mean, it makes sense. Even though we don't have monarchies everywhere anymore, humanity still very much has people who love the smell of their own farts, and we unfortunately have to deal with them. But what if there could be a noble with a stick up his ass that actually ends up a likable character? In fact, the stick up his ass is his greatest strength. Well, Ines from Sacred Stones is one such character. A man who can be infuriating, but at the same time genuine and likable. So, let's give the royal strategician his due. I still don't believe strategician is a word, even though I know for a fact that it is. Ines is introduced at the route split 1/3 of the way through the game. He was busy fighting the Grotto Empire, and he finally got back home. And the first thing he does when he meets Ephraim is try to assert dominance, saying that Ephraim's own lack of ability is what caused the Grotto Empire to overthrow Renee, and that Ines warned him of this. Inez's sister Tana informs him that Ephraim's father lost his life in the invasion, and it's here he shows a bit more tact, offering condolences and promising that he will help crush the evil empire. What's funny about this introduction is how Ephraim takes it. Ines could come off as an incredibly mean-spirited character, but Ephraim is actually relieved. With his father dead and kingdom in ruin, Ephraim is happy to know that Ines is still Ines and still hates his guts. It gives him a sense of normalcy that he had been distinctly lacking. It's alright. It's comforting to see that, in all of this, at least he hasn't changed. Ines has hated me for as long as I can remember. My brother looks upon you as a rival, Ephraim, and as you know, he wants to be the best at everything. The best king, the best general, the best fighter, the best man. He won't allow himself to be beaten at anything. Tana, you talk too much! Inez's next scene has him caught in a trap. The ally nation of Carcino suddenly changed their allegiance, and Ines is now surrounded and balls deep in enemy territory. Ines is left with only 2 foreign mercenaries, Garret and Tethys, and in this bleak scenario, he decides to fire both of them, attempting to frame it as the fact that he can't trust them. Garret and Tethys aren't stupid, though. They can see that he just doesn't want to force 2 mercenaries to fight to the death for a cause that, by all accounts, they don't have any reason to die for. As Ines puts it, quote, "You and I are not the same. You're a commoner, and I'm Frelia's heir. We of noble birth do not shirk the duties to which we have been born." Unfortunately for Ines, Garret and Tethys are captivated by Inez's bravado, and since he fired them, he no longer has the ability to tell them what to do, so they help him against his will. These scenes about Inez's pride help characterize him as a man with ego, but not a man without heart. Sure, Ines is too prideful to just tell Garret and Tethys that he doesn't want to get them killed, and yeah, he's too egotistical to not shit-talk Ephraim the first time he sees him, but Ines doesn't just shit-talk everyone because of his royal bloodline. In fact, his royal bloodline is what motivates him to be the best person he can be. His ego is just an unfortunate side effect. A lot of times, nobles in JRPGs have a mentality of, I'm better than you, despite not actually doing anything. But Ines has the mentality of, I'm better than you because I put forth the effort in everything. Sure, he can still be annoying, but I think he's still likable because at his core, he just wants to be a leader who can help his people and give them a better future. He's someone who sees noble blood as a challenge, not as a privilege. And though his ego is large, it is not so massive that he's lost all sense of humility. During the battle, he makes sure Eirika knows he is in her debt, thanking her for her aid. After the battle, he genuinely thanks Garret and Tethys for the help, acknowledging that he would not have survived the battle were it not for the two of them. And slightly later, when in a remote village, he accepts the village's elders' condition that they don't hold loyalty to kings and queens, and agrees to be treated the same as a common man while he's there. And towards the end of the game, he gives his nation's sacred relics to Eirika and Ephraim, trusting them as leader of the army over himself. Despite his pride being the size of Mount Everest, he's still capable of showing humility when the situation calls for it, and I think that makes him feel more fleshed out and likable. Unfortunately, at this point in the analysis, I need to remind you that he is a Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem character, so the story doesn't have any more for him, but he does have a lot of supports to give him characterization. Ines has 6 supports to his name: Eirika, Tana, Larshel, Joshua, Garret, and Vanessa. I'll dabble on all of them except the Joshua support. I already covered that in my Joshua video, and even if I didn't, there's not a whole lot there for Ines's character. We'll start with his support with Tana, since his relationship with his younger sister kinda perfectly sums up his faults and his boons pretty well. The support begins with Tana flying to her brother's side, happy to see him safe and unharmed, promising that she'll help protect him from now on. Now what Ines is feeling is, Tana, you have no combat experience, and despite your training, you still have a very real chance of getting hurt or killed. Now that thought goes through the magical Ines filter, and what comes out of his mouth is, quote, Tana, what are you doing here? You have no place on the battlefield. I want you to return to Castle Frelia immediately. It's very clear he's just worried about her, but the man does not know how to approach the situation with any semblance of tact, so he comes off like a complete dick. And his next attempt at talking to her fares even worse. He does admit that she's coming along nicely as a fighter, but he's still worried for her being in the army. Now what Ines is feeling is, Tana, you've lived your whole life in the Frelian castle. I'm worried your naivety will lead you to interacting with some of the men around here who might be trying to worm their way into your pants without you realizing. What he says, after it goes through the magical Ines filter, is, quote, but your ignorance of the world around you is simply appalling. It must be tough for a pampered castle brat like you to interact with soldiers. If you keep traveling with us, someone might take advantage of your naivety. Ines also mentions Ephraim specifically, since Tana having the hots for him is one of the worst kept secrets since the fact that birds aren't real, and Tana gets fed up with him and leaves. Tana admits, even though Ines's judgment is often very good, he's so blunt that no one ever wants to listen to him. And as you can clearly see, she is 100% correct. The support ends with a cute story about the two of them as children. A young Tana was playing with the royal crown and ended up misplacing it somewhere in the castle. Her father Hayden was furious, which, like, dude, why did a little girl have unsupervised access to the crown? She's a kid, I think this is on you. Regardless, Ines scoured the castle for the crown and found it, and fibbed that he had it all along. He just wanted to see what it would feel like on his head. This calms King Hayden down, and Tana was spared from her father's wrath. And this anecdote helps remind Tana that yes, Ines does love her, he just sucks at showing it. Ines also relents and accepts that Tana does have a place with everyone, and the two of them make up all nice and cute. The support does a great job of showing Ines's flaws and his merits, as well as just adding to the wealth of Sacred Stones' fantastic sibling dynamics. It's a solid support chain all around. Do you hear that music? Sonic racing music in these videos can only mean one thing. It's time for the Patreon show. That's right, I have a Patreon, where if you enjoy the videos and want to help support me, you can throw some money my way, and I would greatly appreciate it. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to benefits, like getting audio or visual shoutouts on videos, getting access to some panels early before the videos launch, and, for $7 a month, you can get access to polls to decide future characters that come up on the channel. The current battle is a Thracia battle. Pern and Lenoan really aren't doing shit, but Sarah and Galza seem to be in a fight, so we'll see how that develops. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Andrew Crockett, Benz Again, Dr. McBackstab, Fire Emblem Lord, Follow Pen to the North Star on Twitch, Great Riek, Hell on Heelys, I meant to go by Grangelitzabeth last time, but I forgot to change my name, Justmacito 2, Keithan, Lightning Bolt, Nevrix the Tourmaline Project creator, Rangerman Sam, Ryan Walter, Shen Lu, Space1255, Steph D, Tato, Your Girl Olwyn, Anti-Ginger, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Goo Goo Gaga Cornelia Milkers 92, Max the Knife, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support, and I'll see you next time. Wait, this is the Patreon show, not the end of the video. What the fuck am I doing? I want to save his support with Garret for last, so let's delve into his 3 romantic supports, starting with the absolute wild child, Larchelle. Now, their dynamic is a very simple one. Ines is a man with a huge ego. Larchelle is a woman with a huge ego. As you can imagine, this causes them to argue about things that don't matter almost immediately. However, there's clearly no actual malice between them. They're trying to talk up their home countries as a better place than the other. Ines says Frelia has good fish. Larchelle says Rostin's fish are better. Ines says Frelia has beautiful sights, but Larchelle says Rostin's are more beautiful. I think its biggest contribution is this is where Larchelle's infamous "if I were not a holy woman, I would beat you senseless" line is from, if you've ever seen that going around. This is one of those supports where a lot happens off-screen. As it's stated, they've been having many conversations about the wonder of their nations. And from those conversations, they realize they like going up against each other. Larchelle is very eager to engage in some friendly trash talk, and Ines returns it in kind. It's true, there isn't a whole lot of romance in the support itself. It's one of those that serves as the starting point for two people, and the player fills in themselves how they think the romance blooms. And for what it's worth, I can definitely see them as a sort of Lynn-Hector couple that bickers a lot but loves each other deep down. It's an enjoyable support that shows Ines in a situation where his pride and ego are actually shown in a lighthearted and fun way. Not everything has to be a serious story. Sometimes a man just falls in love with the craziest princess in Magvel. It happens. His support with Vanessa is another cute couple, but it's a simple support. It's the classic trope of a knight falling in love with their lord. Their dynamic, however, is shockingly rare for JRPGs. Ines respects Vanessa and her abilities, and Vanessa respects Ines and his abilities. It's just two people who care about and respect one another. The only thing of note is, unlike a lot of these kind of ships, where the dude is oblivious to the girl's constant affections for him, Ines is actually the one that recognizes Vanessa's love and makes a move forward. I mean, sure, Vanessa's crush on him is the worst kept secret since Tana's crush on Ephraim, but seeing the man make the correct move here is nigh unheard of, so that's a neat little diversion. Again, it's not a complicated romance, but a love based on mutual respect between two likable characters is surprisingly uncommon and more than enough to make both of them endearing to the player, in my opinion. Okay, we've had enough of Ines being in healthy, loving relationships with no issues. It's time for his pride to fuck him up again. His support with Eirika has him approach her with the desire to protect her, not because he thinks she's weak, but because she saved him in Carcino, and he can't just stay indebted to her. Eirika thinks he's being foolish, but decides to humor him anyway, seeing as how he isn't really hurting her, but there is one glaring issue. Ines seemingly forgot what weapon he wields. Regardless, you can count on me. No arrow can reach all enemies, but I guarantee your safety. Will you accept my oath? Sure. I accept. Thank you, Prince Ines. Follow me, then. Wait a moment, Ines. You're an archer. Wouldn't it make more sense if you stayed behind me? I told you I was going to protect you. Right. And yet, whenever an enemy shows himself, you rush in and attack. Everyone's gonna think you're the one protecting me. Well, I can't help you with your image problems, Ines. You're an archer, while I have to fight up close. While that is hilarious, the support starts to delve into Inez's hatred of Ephraim. Eirika asks him to at least try to get along with him. Ines says that won't be so easy, and in the A support he elaborates on that, saying that he has fallen in love with Eirika and he wishes to court her. Now you might be asking the question, what in the absolute fuck does that have to do with Ephraim? And Eirika is wondering the same thing. And so Ines elaborates. He says that as long as Ephraim is around and is the quote perfect man, he'll always be second rate. And if Ines can prove himself to be better than Ephraim, Eirika will be sure to accept his love. And before Eirika even has a chance to say anything logical to that statement, Ines makes the vow that he will best Ephraim and he leaves, leaving Eirika dumbfounded and a little agitated. Obviously, Ines doesn't have to do this. He has plenty of merits he can stand on, and he doesn't have to be a perfect person to be able to be with Eirika. But remember what Tana said when Ines was introduced. Inez's pride causes him to strive to be the best at everything, even in situations where he can easily just be himself. Eirika does like him. Their paired ending has them marry, but Ines can't see that he can just be himself. He has to be the best, even when no one cares but him. The Eirika support is basically Ines just catching L after L, and it's really funny, but it does lead to a nice romance for the two of them, even if Eirika Leon or Eirika Seth vastly overshadow its popularity. But his Garret support offers a different perspective on Inez's pride, one where it's shown to be his greatest strength, not just his weakness. Most of the support is admittedly about Garret's backstory, but at the end, Ines comes to Garret thankful for the example he's been showing him. Ines says, quote, "Those born to royalty cannot show others any weaknesses or deficiencies. If they're not perfect at all times, their enemies will take advantage of them." But Garret's way of life and leadership has made Ines to believe that he might have been too severe, though Garret believes that Inez's pride has been a boon to him in ways Garret cannot replicate. Look at you. You're full of confidence. You've got pride. When I first met you, I thought, what a high-handed dandy. Did you just call me a dandy? But that's just who you are. Being proud is not always a bad thing. You must have worked yourself near to death to preserve that pride. What I mean is, you never make excuses for losing or being beaten up. No matter the pain you face or hardship, you keep fighting on to honor that pride. It's what defines you, and I can't say that I don't admire it. This scene is kind of the statement about Ines. His pride, for all the trouble it causes him, is his greatest strength. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, sure, but so is gluttony, and you still eat. Having some pride in yourself is not a bad thing. Inez's character feels fully fleshed out. He has moments of likability, moments where he's a dick. He has triumphs, he has failures, he has heartfelt relationships, simple relationships, funny relationships, and at the center of it all is the pride he has in himself. Ines is a character that manages to take the mold of royal-blooded noble with an ego the size of the Jolly Green Giant and turns it into something likable and sincere. So if you wrote him off because you thought he was just a prick, I implore you, reread his supports, reread his story scenes, and try giving him another shot. You might find he's got more going on than you think. I would like to thank you all again for making it to the end of another character analysis video. Sorry this one took so long. I got fired from my job and then had to find a new job at a 4 a.m. shift, and then I also got really sick. This month was a lot. But we're here now, and that's all that matters. I would like to thank my editor, the Green Brigand, for looking over the script, being a good friend, and just in general stopping me before I say anything too stupid. If you enjoyed the video, please consider joining the Discord. You're seeing some images from it now. We like to have fun there. I think it's a pretty good time and worth joining. Link in the description. Please like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the Patreon, and bow to our Lord and Savior Jeff Bezos. Now that I'm working at Amazon, I gotta get sweet with him. Maybe he can hand me some of them sweet, sweet billions. Until next time.
Change the world. My pride, no bad, but